In Abuja, the Federal Court has acquitted 11 protesters arrested during the August 2024 hashtag and bad governance demonstration. Now, Justice Emeka Nwite struck out all treason and terrorism-related charges, citing lack of diligence by the prosecution. The ruling closes a case that had drawn criticism from civil society and human rights groups. Now, who argued the charges were politically motivated and an attempt to criminalize dissent. The activists, including Adaramoye Michael Lenin, had been detained for weeks before trial. The hashtag End Bad Governance protest erupted across Nigerian cities in response to rising insecurity, economic hardship, and concerns about governance, drawing parallels to earlier civic uprisings such as hashtag End SARS movement. Tonight, we examine what this acquittal means for democratic rights in the country, the space for peaceful protest, and the broader implication for governance and accountability. To unpack this, I am joined by DG Adaramoye. He's a human rights lawyer and he joins live from our Abuja studio. I also have Adaramoye Michael Lenin, is National Coordinator at Youth Rights Campaign. He also joins from our Abuja studio. But for now, we have Adaramoye Michael. It's great to have you.
Yes, good evening. Thank you very much.
All right, good evening. Let's get into the crux of the conversation. I mean, you're one of those acquitted. How do you feel right now?
Yes, first explanation would be that deserve the out. Of course, what we have just a face of it actually, but we feel that because this is what we've been saying ever since this case has started, and it's what many Nigerians have also said, that the case against us has no merit, and the police who fight those cases charges themselves against us knew that they don't have anything to actually have to prove their case against us. Because if you look at all of the evidences that they gave to the court, they are very trivial and even false allegations, and even their falsehood are not even enough to hold us to all of those charges against us. So the police from onset has only embarked on a journey of shame for themselves. They have only embarked on a journey which is really an attempt to stifle dissent in Nigeria and the voices of people seeking for a better Nigeria.
Michael, you said the police. Michael, please hold on. You said the police.
You said a form of justice has served to us. But the other hand is that when you look at what we've been to, especially on the basis of these allegations against us for more than a year now, that's really been difficult. So that we also do not feel that the justice itself is fully served until we are able to get a public apology from the Nigerian government for all of the conditions they made us undergo, and also to also compensate many of us who have been in a way been victims of this thing. So we feel partially that we have injustice, but we still feel that we still have a long way to go for us to fully say that we have really been served by justice fully.
You said a couple of things. You said that, number one, you said from the get-go the police embarked on a journey of shame, and that even though this can be considered in a way some sort of justice, you still feel that there is still a long way for the part of justice to be attained on this matter. I'd like you to speak more on this.
I mean, as I was saying, when you look at the conditions that led to the commencement of this trial, is that many of us have been arrested. Even the protests that led to our arrest was heavily clamped down on by security operatives, especially the police force. And many of us were picked up by DSS, NIA, and co. And we have had to spend weeks in the detention of police, which ought not to be. Before we were taken to court, the police had turned our back, went to obtain an order from the court to demand us for 60 days. First, it was the pressure from the public and media platform like News Central that saved us from that terrible situation. And to now proceed to the part, the day we were arraigned, we were first arraigned on September 2nd last year. We could not get our bail, despite the fact that it was very obvious that this case was politically motivated. We could not even get bail that day. And even when we got the bail, on September 11th, there were very stringent conditions that many of us could not even leave the facility after 3 weeks or even 1 month, and which was what led to the fact that many of us spent about 2 months or so in incarceration. So that when you put all of this together, you will see that truly the police embarked on a show of shame because they've never had any evidence against us. In fact, to back up their treason charges or terrorism charges. Because when you accuse someone of treason, of terrorism, you need to present evidence that are compelling or even show that they are actually involved or connected to that. But all of the evidences they give, either pictures of people or so, nothing point out to what should be an evidence or even close to being an evidence to nail someone for treason. And the judge himself must have viewed that from the beginning. But instead, because of the political interest of the Nigerian ruling class, and they attempt to ensure that they clamp down on voices of dissent, begin to attempt to try us for this thing, despite the fact that there was no evidence at all. And but what happened yesterday, clearly confirmed what I've said, that from the onset, it was mainly a show of shame from the police and the Nigerian government, because from the very beginning, they had nothing to nail many of us, and many of us who were detained for over 2 months ought not to have been even arrested in the first place. Because we have been saying it repeatedly.
Michael,
Nigerians have the right to freely assemble themselves.
All right, Michael, please, 1 minute. Just if protest. You can hear me, 1 minute. Also,
clearly, my early assertion shows that what the police has backed on is nothing but a show of shame.
All right, Michael. I would like you to speak also on what you went through while in detention, how you were picked up during that, process, how they maybe raided your space, picked you up, what you had to go through, the emotional trauma, and what you faced while in detention. Before we go on our first break, I'd just like you to highlight some of the things you faced in the process.
Yes, thank you very much. I think if you recall, when we started our protest, there was first an attempt to even arrest me before the protest. But I received a call from someone who I initially thought was a police officer, but instead, the member of the National Intelligence Agency, NIA. But the arrest could not happen because I did not fall into that trap. But what happened was that 4 days after the protest, and at the day that was supposed to be the 5th day, officers of the NIA from my residence, here I was. That was about 2 a.m., the middle of the night. But what they did was to first even access the estate where I stay, lock up the security officers of those estates, and about 50 of them in the middle of the night came to arrest me. But for over a whole day or even 2, I did not even know the identity of those who arrested me. I didn't even know the agency they belonged to, the police, either their DSS or so. In fact, I was even assuming at some point that maybe they are even bandits or kidnappers who have only come to kidnap me, because they operated that clear manner. Because I was first handcuffed, I was also blindfolded, so that I could not even see anything for an entire day. And when I got to their office, they had to throw me to a cold room. But that almost been the coldest temperature I've experienced in my entire life. And it was that room that myself and 3 other persons who were picked up with me. And these are even people who ought not to have even been arrested because they have no connection to the issue itself. But despite that, they picked up everything, picked up books, picked up properties, phones and laptops from my residence. It was after 24 hours of interrogation at their facility that I was moved to Abuja, which is the police facility in Abuja. There I spent about 4 weeks before I was eventually tried. And those who know Abuja, we know that it is one of the most terrible and notorious detention facility that we have in this country. it is a place where, in fact, I mean, in a very small cell, you have about 20, 30, 40 persons are queued together. Where for you to even sleep, you don't even know. You don't know if it is morning, you don't know if it's afternoon or so. I mean, this was the torturous condition that many of us endured. Because when the Nigerian police gave us our charges, in fact, many of the other persons who were arrested with me, it was at the police facility center that I saw them for the first time in my life. I've never seen any of them before. But the police claimed that we conspired together to organize to overthrow the government. So I was there for 4 weeks, sometimes a whole day without food. To even do the regular things of life was extremely difficult. In fact, that was where I knew that sometimes to even sleep is a luxury, because most time you won't even be able to sleep because you'll be scared that you might end up not waking up, because the air that comes to the cell, because it is an underground cell, so you also do not even get enough air to breathe. Then talk that we have about 30 persons the same cell with you, queues without even space for you to sleep. Sometimes you have to sit down on the floor throughout the night, and then pray that someone who has a space will also wake up, and then you can take up their space. That was the condition that I was for 4 weeks at the police center before I was then taken to court on September 2nd last year, and then I was moved to the prison. Of course, the prison itself is also another story of hardship, because I mean, all of the conditions you have in the police center too are also present in the prison facility. To sleep, to engage in daily activities is a very terrible experience. So, but these are the terrible things we went through. But we are also happy that we were able to come out of it ill and healthy and also alive. Although many of us had to even treat different forms of ailment after we came out of prison and police detention. But as a whole, they were very terrible experiences, and there's no justification to put for anyone under these conditions. In the name of a politically motivated case. So, but like I said, we were able to come out of it strong, and for many of us, it is an experience that we will never forget. But in the end, we are able to overcome those challenges against us.
I mean, what you saw is pretty much very graphic and sad. And one thing I know you did say in your introductory remarks is that even though this may be a form of justice, that's the acquittal, but you still think that there is still a journey ahead to attaining true justice for you. So we'll go on this quick break. When we return, I'll be asking you, Michael, what would you consider total justice after now? Stay with us, we'll be right back. I still have Adaramoye Michael Lenin. He's the, of course, national coordinator of an activist group, and also one of those that was acquitted of treason charges, linked to the recent #EndBadGovernance protest. It's great to have you still with me on the program at this time. Thank you. Now, Michael, I'll go back to my question straight. You did talk about justice. You said that even though this is great, the acquittal judgment, by the court, but for you, justice is still a long journey. What is justice for you now?
Yes, I think I want to start first by laying the template, and which I've done earlier, of what many of us have been through. Because who is going to account for the long period of tension offered, all of the hardship many of us have had to go through, and also the defamation that the Nigerian police and the Nigerian government embarked on. Many of us have been labeled terrorists, people who are enemies of the state. In fact, till today, we still have properties of many of us with the police force, and some of these properties, they refuse to release them. In fact, we also have the bank account of many of us still frozen, because the police went to lodge a complaint to the banks that our bank account was being used to finance terrorism. We have all of these things that have not been resolved by the judge in his own judgment. So he was able to acquit him, but he himself did not take into account all of the hardship and the need for us to be compensated. But also beyond that, is that the movement we started last year, there are still some persons who are still suffering from it today. In Borno State, for instance, we have about 7 youth who were sentenced to 5 years in jail as a result of their participation in the end bad governance protest. And just like our case too, state has no meaningful evidence against them. That they said they belong to a WhatsApp group where they were planning to have a protest. So that how does that become a crime? So that if you are acquitting us for something you think we've not done wrong, I think if I should also extend to everyone who has also been involved in this end bad governance protest, which is the only way that we can feel that there's a sense of justice in what the state is trying to do. But what we just have is that the state is just trying to use our case to appear as if it is a listening government. But in true fact, it is not a listening government. And also, this victory will not make complete sense or make us feel the sense of justice if all of the attacks on democratic rights done by the government not stop. Because if I still have to join the protest tomorrow today and still get arrested, get detained, or even go to similar protests I've been to, so where is the sense of justice in all of these things? Because true victory cannot happen if the system that ensures that young people, when they protest, get arrested, they get attacked by police or other security agencies, they get detained. We need to put an end to that system of oppression, of intimidation of young people, of Nigerians. So that is what true justice can actually mean for many of us who are in this case.
Michael, what aside justice now, what next for you? Will you say, I mean, with what you've been through as a young Nigerian who is pretty much passionate about, seeing the nation go forward, progress and all of that, would you want to get engaged in any protest anytime in the future? What next for you?
Well, thank you. I think even since I came back, I've been involved in activities because for many of us, we are not going to fall to the gimmicks of the government. The reason why we were arrested was to create a fear in us and ensure that we don't speak up. But that itself has failed and is going to keep failing. And what needs to be done is to pick up from where we started. Because when you look at all of the demands we've made during the end bad governance protests, not one of those demands have been met. And also look at this vision for young people, for Nigerians as a whole, you see that there is a continuous decline in the living conditions of people. And the fact that the government itself has not changed from what we labeled it, which is a government that is more interested in making just few people richer, while most of the people go homeless, go hungry, or are left without a means of sustaining themselves. Also that there's still a long struggle ahead for us. Of course, this for us is victory, but the bigger victory will mean that Nigerians are able to live in a country where there is guarantee of gainful employment, where there is conducive housing, where people can go to school, either they are rich or poor, and where people can live in safety. So that is the country we desire, and we've not had that. So which means that our struggle is far from over. But what we have achieved now, as monumental as it is, as historic as it is, I will just keep it in our bag for now, while we look ahead to the struggle and continue to speak as loud as we've been speaking before now. But of course, now we have to speak louder, considering the fact that the country itself is in a much more deteriorated condition, which calls for attention of many Nigerians. But for me, this is not the time to back down, but rather this is time to ensure that we move forward at a quicker pace.
All right, thank you so much for your time on the program this evening. Adaramoye Michael Lenin, of course, an activist and one of those that was, charged for treason and has been acquitted and let go. Thank you once again for your time.
You're welcome.